Hey now, it's Ruben with Help Find the Others. As always, want to start out with gratitude and thank all of you guys for supporting this channel. Stan and I can produce content all day long, but without you guys doing whatever it is you do to help it grow, it wouldn't go anywhere, right? We're steadily growing at a good pace, and it's thanks to everything you guys do that increase the internet algorithms out there that increase the chances that we'll show up on people's YouTube bars and or whatever, wherever people are finding us. It's thanks to you guys that are giving thumbs up and commenting and rating on YouTube or on podcast apps, and downloading on podcast apps, and donating to our Patreon. All these things you guys are doing that support our channel and help it grow are going to help it spread and reach as many people as possible. And that's the goal, is to whoever our discussions resonate with and help. We want to reach as many people and help as many people as possible. And so we couldn't do that without you guys, and that's great. And I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I also want to continue to pitch the Discord server. Definitely get on there. It's, one of the most positive social media experiences you can have on the internet right now is the Help Find the Other Discord channel. I mean, it's awesome. I'm honored to, know everyone that's on there and participates, and honored to know you and call you friends. It's awesome. I love sharing parts of my days with you guys. We had a voice chat the other day with 4 or 5 of us, and late night shooting the shit, talk about nitrous oxide and whatever. I mean, it's just stuff like that is really good, because it's for a lot of us, it's conversations that we can't have with our neighbors or friends or loved ones, and so to have an outlet to discuss the things we really want to discuss is important in today's world. So yeah. Today I wanted to talk about, I guess it's kind of a controversial topic, mostly because I have a different point of view from most people on it. And that topic is addiction. And I get, and I got a recent email, but it's a common email that I get. And it got my wheels turning. Okay. And so, and first off, I'm just telling my opinion. I have a different school of thought towards addiction as to what it is and what causes it than, most drug treatment professionals in the United States, at least. And so if you are someone that believes in the standard treatment protocol for drug abuse and drug addiction, and you disagree with what I have to say, that's fine, because I am just a jerk off with a camera, okay? I'm not a licensed or certified drug counselor or therapist, or I hope to be those things at someday, actually, but as of now, I'm not a licensed or certified anything. So, if you disagree with my statements, please understand it's just my opinion. And I don't have the education or research to back up a lot of what I will probably say in this video. So let me preface the entire video with that. But the question I get a lot from people is something of this manner of, I am in recovery for insert substance here. I really like your videos and the way that you and others talk about psychedelics and think they could help me, but do you think that they would be a trigger that would cause me to start using again? That's a tough question to answer. That puts me in a bind, because I don't want to undermine anyone's recovery. I don't want to be the reason that someone starts using again, But unlike traditional drug treatment in the United States, which dictates once you are clean from being an addict, you can never do any substance again, or you will end up right back where you were. That you will lose all of your progress because of using any substance. I don't believe that to be true. So I can't give someone proper advice about using psychedelics once you've been an addict. I can't give them proper advice because I don't want to undermine everything that all the progress they've made. And they've made that progress because of that traditional school of thought. But the difference in what I believe to most, traditional drug treatment is that I don't believe that addiction, whether it's alcohol or opiates or, whatever, I don't believe that it's a disease. It's a symptom. There is a cause. There is a condition that causes you to become addicted to substances or behaviors or, whatever. But but to treat that addiction is to only treat that symptom. If you don't treat the condition that caused it, then you haven't fixed the problem. And traditional drug treatment is all about giving you willpower to stay away from the substance that got you there. Oftentimes, I know a lot of people that have come through drug treatment that end up becoming addicted to something else, whether it's cigarettes or sex or food, whatever. They just find another symptom of the root condition that they never took care of. And, and traditional drug counselors and treatment will say, hey, you haven't done heroin or alcohol though, so you're good. You still got this. You're still clean. You're not clean. I look at it like this as a metaphor. If you have a really, really messy house and or a messy room in your house, and you shut the door, and then 12 years later you're like, yeah, that room's clean, but you just didn't do anything. You just shut the door and you never cleaned it and you stayed away from that room. It's not clean. You just ignored it. You never dealt with the problem. And so that's my difference in that. I don't believe the whole, when people say, oh, I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery. I'm an addict. I've been in recovery for 12 years. No, you just stayed away from that drug for 12 years. If you're still saying you're an addict, if you're still saying you're in recovery, it's still in your head. You're still convinced yourself you have a problem. Now, where I do agree with standard drug treatment is you can be physically addicted to several substances. You can be physically addicted to heroin and opiates and alcohol, to the point where quitting them, you could die, right? So in order to, if you're at that point with a substance problem, you need medical detox and to follow those steps and to see that through. But you, after you're no longer in medical danger from your substance abuse, you still need to fix the condition that caused you to be an addict in the first place. And, that symptom of addiction can come from a lot of different conditions. It can come from trauma. It can come from pain. It can come from depression, anxiety, grief, regret, boredom. It can come from any condition that, while it may not be a mental illness, and it can come from, an addiction could be from a severe mental illness, like, if you're schizophrenic, that can lead to substance abuse and addiction, right? But some of those things, depression and anxiety and the things I mentioned, they can be a temporary mental trouble that is just causing you to have an unwell mind, which that is the key. Addiction is a symptom of an unwell mind. And this is where I differ as well from drug treatment, standard drug treatment, is, well, I know a handful of substances that they call psychedelics that are pretty damn good at fixing the unwell mind. It takes a lot of work. It's not a magic pill, but you can rewire your brain and change your perspective and fix that root condition that causes the symptom of addiction. I truly believe that. And, it's unfortunate there isn't a ton of research to point to. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence. Take iboga, for instance. If no one knows what that is, it's an African plant that is used. They call it in Africa the root that talks to the dead, or the plant that talks, they consider it to be a gateway to the other realm, to the undead, or the non-living, whatever. But it is used in Canada quite a bit. It may be legal. I don't know. I need to look up the legal status of it. But I know it's a common thing that you can do in Canada to have iboga treatment to handle addiction. Now, is it doing anything on the neurochemical level to stop addiction? No, it is such an intense psychedelic experience that it is rewiring your brain and completely changing your perspective and stopping that root cause of addiction. And I don't have the statistics and know the numbers, of how successful it is, but I imagine it's pretty damn successful. And that's without any sort of media propaganda, trying to get people to legalize a drug or something like that. I think it is that severe of a psychedelic experience that that it can rewire your brain. And again, it's not fun. It takes a lot of work, I imagine. I haven't done it, but I'm hoping some research comes out, and that would help back up my viewpoint that, psychedelics, even though they are a drug, even though they get lumped in, because of drug policy and stuff like that, everyone thinks like, if you're addicted to an illegal drug, taking any other illegal drug is going to make you relapse. Why? That's the same flawed thinking in saying stuff is a gateway drug. Just because it's illegal, that means you're going to do it. No, you still have to make those choices. You still have to fall into those traps. And so, while yes, I suppose that some people that had been in recovery and tried to take a psychedelic, and it could cause them to relapse, it would probably be because they have some trauma that they haven't worked out, and the mushroom or the LSD or the ayahuasca or whatever forces them to relive it and embrace that. And instead of doing the work to get through it and to change their perspective, they just collapse back in. And that symptom of addiction comes back out because it's safe and secure to feel all wrapped up in your drug, right? So I could see that a traumatic, heroic dose type of psychedelic experience could be a trigger for relapse. I could see that. I think that's a rare case. And I think that is more likely to happen from someone just doing it on their own, just getting a psychedelic and taking it on their own and being like, I'm going to cure my addiction once and for all. If you don't have a guide, if you don't have, someone to help you through the experience and help integrate at least, if you don't do it right, you could end up, being triggered back into using again. So that's what I tell people. Another email that I get regarding addiction is people that are like, every drug I get into, I get addicted to. I want to try LSD or mushrooms or whatever, but am I going to get addicted to it, do you think? Do you think it's addictive? And so, well, no, not if you're doing it right? That's what I tell them, because if you're going to have a mind-blowing, brain rewiring, ego death, psychedelic experience, if you do it right and do the hard work to overcome the mental, gymnastics you're going to have to do during this experience, no, You're not going to become addicted to doing that, unless you're a glutton for punishment. This is not recreational. We're talking about a therapeutic mushroom experience. It is not recreational and is not something you're going to want to do again very soon after you have the experience. If you're doing it right, you probably shouldn't and wouldn't be able to handle more than 4 or 5 mushroom trips a year. And you need proper time to reintegrate or integrate and work through the lessons that you learned during that time. And to go back in is going to be counterproductive, and it's just going to confuse you. So no, I don't think that mushrooms are going to be addictive to someone that already has an addictive personality. However, they can be the focus of the symptom of addiction. So if you are taking them and not working through those problems, you could find yourself using them too much or taking too high of a dosage, and that's where I think a lot of these elements of the psychedelic culture, online at least, of people, saying they take these crazy amounts and that everyone else is, bullshit if they don't take these amounts, and you get these God complexes and they're very condescending and everything. Like, that to me shows signs of substance abuse with psychedelics. And so again, that goes back to what is causing them to feel that way. What is causing them to feel that their escape from their condition is this, break from reality that you can get from taking too much psychedelics, either too frequently or too high of dosages. And so they're not, psychedelics are not immune to, being a vector of substance abuse, but I think it's much less, they're not built to be that way. I don't think you could end up being physically addicted to any of them, to where, that just adds another element of difficulty or degree of difficulty for overcoming substance abuse, is the ones that are physically addictive, of alcohol and opiates mostly, but also the ones that are prescribed to you, right? I talk to a lot of people that are trying to microdose mushrooms to get off of antidepressants or anxiety Xanax and anti-anxiety stuff. We get put on these. It is a prescribed drug addiction because they are awfully physically addicting, and you are put on them. A doctor tells you, hey, I'm sorry that you're depressed and a therapist hasn't helped you work through this. Have you tried drug addiction? And they give you a prescription to that, which I hate that element of society. I understand that, there is some neurochemistry involved to where there are some people that have a chemical imbalance and they actually need those drugs, but I think they are possibly more overprescribed than opiates are. And then, it's sad, but, you see so many people have so many problems coming off of something that was supposed to help them in the first place, And so I do, and that falls into the same token when people email me about microdosing and quit. You have to medically make sure you're okay if you're going to try coming off of an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety. But that being said, yes, I do think that microdosing mushrooms or LSD could be a substitute for antidepressant usage and anti-anxiety usage. However, make sure that you're following up with a medical professional and you're aware of your situation so that you're not going off the rails and you don't realize it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is bigger picture of, I've been talking about psychedelics and being used to treat addiction on a personal level. But I think they're going to be more effective at treating addiction on a macro level, on the society level. And the reason is that, I look at, whenever they say the opiate epidemic that's going on, they're trying to hammer in this idea in your head subliminally that addiction is a disease. And there's this disease that's spreading in society, and it's these opiates. And, well, first off, the opiates are spreading in society because of the prescription of them, and you know, the drug companies pushing them on doctors and pushing them on people, and you know, these pain clinics and all these things. That's why they're spreading. It's not some disease that everyone's getting this, you know, this bug and they're like, I gotta be an addict. You know, this is a epidemic that has been created by two reasons. One is the pharmaceutical companies. The other is, like I said, it is a symptom of an unwell societal mind. You know, that all these things I said, that addiction can be a symptom of trauma, pain, depression, anxiety. That's a problem with society right now. There is rampant amounts of trauma, pain, anxiety, depression, regret, boredom, grief, mourning. And society is reacting with the symptom of addiction. And that's the problem. And yes, I believe that psychedelics, and more importantly, the people that get benefits from psychedelics, as they become bigger parts of our society, as it becomes more open to talk about and to have the psychedelic experience, and we become bigger parts of society, we are going to be, and these substances are going to be part of what cures the underlying condition of society that is causing the symptom of addiction. So that's my macro view of psychedelics and addiction. I hope that made sense. Like I said, I'm not a licensed anything. This is just my opinion. Addiction does touch close to home for me. I've mentioned before, on podcasts, I think, and I can go into it more when we'll do a podcast specific on addiction. But, a very dear friend of mine for 12 years, a bandmate of mine and everything, died from a heroin overdose. Well, actually, it was fentanyl, which is another discussion for another time. And through my friendship with him, I did lots of bad drugs that could have caused drug addiction, and I was around it a lot. And we lost touch for a while, and then when we got back in touch, he was really far gone from it. It was a really tough situation. Like I said, I can go into it more on a podcast, but it touches close to home for me. I understand dealing with him. I tried to get him off of drugs for like a year, and I understand everyone that goes through problems with drug addiction, and I'm not trying to belittle that condition. It's or that situation. I'm just trying to remind you that it's a symptom and not a condition. I myself, while I've never been physically addicted to anything, I don't think, other than coffee, I definitely, substances have had a negative effect on my life in some areas, and I've just had to be aware of when this is becoming a hindrance and to try to change something. And that's a big thing, I think, is just being aware of your situation, where you're going, where you're coming from, and stuff like that. So, that's about all I have to say about that for right now. Like I said, I want to have a podcast episode focused on addiction, and I would really like to find someone that has either been to or taken ibogaine therapy or knows more about that. Possibly someone in Canada or something like that. That would be great, because that's a really good example of what I'm talking about. But I know ayahuasca has been used to treat addiction as well. And so anyone that has kind of some insight or experience to add to the discussion on psychedelics and addiction, I would really appreciate you send me an email at helpfindtheothers@protonmail.com. And until then, thanks for helping find the others.